Hey, welcome to Thad and Laura's Motorcycle Adventures. In this episode, I'm going to ride 24 hours straight, non-stop. Well, I stopped for gas a few times, obviously, but so this is not really Thad and Laura. I'm just by myself this time because I'll be going 1,500 miles today, well, within 24 hours, and we'll see if we make it. That's what this episode's all about. We started at 7:46 p.m. and I'm going to ride through the night, and I got to admit, you're not going to see a lot of scenery in this video. So, although this is a nice sunset right here, that's why I like South Dakota sunsets. We don't have a lot of scenery, but we got nice sunsets. I'm going to spend a lot of time here talking about motorcycling in general, specifically long-distance motorcycling. A little bit different animal when you're riding long distances. Hey, brothers. I did the motorcycle wave. I don't know if you probably didn't see that. We got a secret wave when you're on a motorcycle. All right, here we're turning. By the way, that was Highway 30. What the heck was that? That was Highway 32. South Dakota Highway 32, westbound. And here we're turning on to I-29 southbound. Alright, before I get going too far, I suppose I should talk about why I'm even doing this. I happen to be a member of an elite order. I don't know why I'm talking like that. I happen to participate in a long-distance motorcycle riding organization called the Iron Butt Association. This is an organization that certifies various motorcycle endurance challenges that its members can undertake. Each one of these challenges has varying levels of difficulty. For example, riding 1,000 miles in 24 hours, or 1,500 miles in 36 hours, or ride through 50 national parks in 25 states within 1 year. So anyway, every year I try to do one challenge. For example, last year I rode 1,000 miles from my home in Flandreau, South Dakota to Missoula, Montana. I did it all during the day, during daylight hours. My goal was to leave at sunrise and arrive before sunset. So 1,000 miles, sunrise to sunset. And I did it. Yay! So anyway, that's the reason why Laura's not with me this time. Just a few hundred miles a day is really all that's all she can take. That's all right. So anyway, what I'm trying to achieve here today is one of the most difficult endurance riding challenges, 1,500 miles in 24 hours. And there goes my faithful dog Rosie. She's such a sweetheart. At first when I saw the challenge, I'm like, well, yeah, that looks like a lot. That would be hard to do. Till I realized that when you put 1,500 miles into, let's say, Google Maps, and then just get the raw, hours of driving, it's like 22 hours of driving to go 1,500 miles. So there's that. At the time I made this ride in September of 2025, only 32 riders in the U.S. had done it that year and had it certified by the IBA. That's the Iron Butt Association, the IBA. So I'll talk more about that later. But let me tell you, this was not easy. This is not easy in a car. It's definitely not easy on a motorcycle. You essentially need to ride 24 hours straight with no breaks except for gas. I'll explain how I did that throughout this video and provide you some recommendations. You never know, you may want to jump on a motorcycle and ride for 24 hours straight. Every time I do one of these challenges, I try to think of better ways to do it. What you saw at the start of this video, I had just left Flandreau, South Dakota after I purchased gas at the local Cenex station, and I got my paper receipt there at the gas station. You got to prove that you actually did it. Now if you're doing this, you make sure you use some sort of GPS tracking too. In addition to your GPS track log, you'll need to photograph each receipt. The receipt needs to show the location, date, and time of each purchase. So this receipt indicates the official start time of my ride, which is 7:46 p.m. Central Standard Time. That means I now have until 7:46 p.m. tomorrow to reach my destination at least 1,500 miles away. I'll explain why I left so late in the evening later on. You'll notice that it's pretty dark here. This is actually in the evening, not the morning. Also, keep in mind that you may cross multiple time zones on this trip. So you should always be mindful of the local time zone from your starting point. The bike clock on my Goldwing here doesn't automatically change time zones when I'm riding, so that's actually helpful. If you look at your phone clock while traveling west, for instance, you might get overly optimistic thinking that you have an extra hour. Well, you don't. You should also double and triple check that all the necessary information is on it. City, date, time. Before you leave the gas station, you need to make sure that your picture is not blurry. Very important there. Quite often, cameras have a difficult time focusing on text, especially if the text is on two different surfaces, like the paper and on your dashboard. So if your picture is no good, then neither is your receipt. They're very strict about this. The IBA, they're very strict on it. And this all takes valuable time, but do not leave that gas station without making sure that you have a good picture. I also like to get off my bike and stretch while I'm filling the bike. I try to remember to take a picture of my bike at the pump with the gas station in the background. If there's any doubt about a receipt, you can at least show that you were there, and hopefully Google Street View has a recent view of the same gas station so that it can be compared to your photo. I also set my phone to automatically upload pictures to a cloud just in case I lose my phone or something happens to my phone. Here's another tip that nobody thinks about. Obviously, you want to ride in the daylight as much as possible because nighttime is when, deer and raccoons come out to play. One way to cheat the night is to route yourself straight west as much as possible. It's called chasing the sun, and it does make a difference. You know that the sun sets in the west because the Earth is rotating from west to east. A little bit of science there for you. And at latitude 45, which is about where I live, the sun is moving away from me at 740 miles an hour at sunset. So if I can move towards the sun at 80 miles an hour, that speed is reduced to 660 miles an hour. Again, I'm talking about the speed, or I guess you call it rotational velocity, that the sun is moving away from you, at sunset. So in a day that normally has 15 hours of daylight, when you're just sitting in one place, I can pick up an extra hour and 7 minutes of observed daylight by traveling west at 80 miles an hour all day. I did this last year when I rode 1,000 miles to Missoula, Montana, and I did it all during the daylight hours. I did pick a time of year. It was July, so you do have a little bit longer daylight anyway to begin with, but I don't think I could have done that trip without chasing the sun. On this particular challenge, I'm starting at night, so I don't want to prolong the nighttime hours by going west. So instead, I decided to go south at night. Then, when I turn west in Arkansas, that's about the time when the sun starts coming up. Then, when I travel west, I prolong my daylight. I guess the ultimate daylight saver would be to travel east at night, then turn around as soon as the sun comes up and then head back west. At latitude 45, you have about 15 hours and 51 minutes of daylight on the longest day of the year, which is June 20th. So by traveling west, you can prolong that to 16 hours and 58 minutes of daylight. It's still not enough to do 1,500 miles in the daylight, but plenty to do 1,000 miles. All right, we're just going through North Sioux City right now. We're still in South Dakota. Ooh, a Dr. Pepper truck. And we are in Iowa. Just crossed over the Big Sioux River, South Dakota into Iowa. That's also right where the Big Sioux River dumps into the Missouri River. Little hydrological knowledge for you. Alright, we're getting into Sioux City right now. There, I just activated my helmet cam for the first time. It's not a very good camera. It doesn't take very good video, but it does record audio really well.
Ew, it stinks here. And you wonder why people call you Sewer City.
Don't get me wrong, I love Sioux City, Iowa.
Okay, you probably don't wonder. Probably know.
But the Sewer City thing is a local regional joke that goes back over 100 years. Sioux City has historically been known for its many meat packing facilities and hide tanneries. If you've ever been around a meat packing plant, you know that it does not smell pleasant.
A couple Dodges up here. What are these? Are these cops?
Are these cops, I say. Speaking of that, the IBA rules on these challenges are you can't break the speed limit. Although, I mean, you gotta go with traffic too. I mean, and more often than not, traffic's going over the speed limit, so you gotta blend with traffic, and that's understandable. But you're trying to go, 1,500 miles in 24 hours. You can't drive, 160 miles an hour to make your time.
All right, I need to start thinking about my first gas stop.
Another thing that they're really strict about, and if it's definitely obviously you went too fast, you're not going to get certified. In fact, you could get banned from participating in any future challenges. You got to preserve the integrity of the iron butt.
Okay, well, that was Sioux City. I got 131 miles on, so 1,370 to go. I think it's about, I don't know, I'd say it's 93 miles to Omaha. Yeah, that's about right. It says that I got 4 hours to Kansas City, so 4 hours would be 1:30 a.m. and my ETA is now 1:31. When I left Flandria, it said 1:37, so I picked up 6 minutes.
Yeah, what I meant by that was I had actually set my GPS for Kansas City, so that's what when I was referring to my ETA. I was referring to my time to get to Kansas City. At this point, I don't even know if I'm gonna make it, so I like to set small goals for myself. We're going to shoot for those psychological victories. We're going to pull out for gas here in Nawa, Iowa. So this is not a good southbound gas stop because it's not on the right side of the interstate, it's on the left side, so I have to cross the interstate and actually end up driving into town quite a bit, so it's taking up a little bit extra time, more time than I wanted it to. To recap this leg of the trip, at 7:46 p.m. I started out in Flandria, South Dakota. Took I-29 south, went through Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Sioux City, Iowa, and there's not much else. And then we ended up in Onwa, Iowa. That's where we got gas. I think that's how the locals pronounce it, Onwa. So here we are, getting gas. Alright, here's the all-important receipt that you need to certify your ride. Notice it's got the location, date, and time right next to the odometer reading on your motorcycle. I went into the gas station to use the restroom, and they had this sign on the wall there, right next to the restrooms. I thought this was hilarious. Welp, thanks for joining us on this first episode of our 24-hour riding challenge series. We're just getting started, and in the next episode we'll pick up where we left off, just south of Omaha, And we'll continue talking about how to successfully conquer this challenge. There's still quite a bit to talk about regarding that, such as planning, routing preparation, food, clothing, weather, gear, the bike itself, and overcoming sleep deprivation. I still got over 1,200 miles to go and many more states to ride through, so stick around for the journey and, of course, my sage-like wisdom. But all praise and glory to God. Thanks for watching.
Hey Google.
This is funny. I'm trying to summon Google, and Google wasn't having any of that.
Hey Google. Hey Google.
Just give it up. The Google lady's probably sleeping.